Hello, I'm Cynthia Mitchell, host of the Affirm Life Daily Natural Law podcast. Welcome to my Funnel 5 presentation, Food and Freedom, Why Hyperlocal Food Systems Are Key to Our Sovereignty. Let's get into it. So I wanted to start with a quote. Who controls the food supply controls the people. That's a quote by Henry Kissinger. He's unfortunately known for lots of notorious quotes. But if you really think about that quote, it's powerful and it's very true. If someone controls your food supply, they literally control whether you can live or die. They control how healthy you can be, how strong you can be, how clearly you can think. They control a lot when they control your food. So I really wanted that to kind of sink in as the premise of this presentation and to set the tone as to why food sovereignty is so very important. I broke this presentation into four distinct sections. Section one is what is food sovereignty? So let's take a look at that. So food sovereignty is our inherent right, not a privilege, not something that we have to earn, not something that we get if we're good little boys and girls. It's a God-given right, food sovereignty. So, food sovereignty is the inherent right of people to create and define their own local food and agricultural systems without outside regulation or disturbance or interference or anything like that. This sovereignty helps to ensure that people have unfettered access to healthy, appropriate food produced sustainably and locally. Locally is key here, and we're going to get into later in the presentation into why local is so imperative to food sovereignty. Now, this differs sharply from food systems that are controlled by corporations and global markets. Food sovereignty puts the power in the hands of the local people. It puts it in your hands. It puts it in my hands. It puts it in our hands. The farmers, the gardeners, the fishermen, all of us getting to control our food. So, by localizing food systems and emphasizing production that works in harmony with nature, that's how we arrive at food sovereignty. And food sovereignty is different than food access because food access is limited. So, food sovereignty places control or food access places control in the hands of governments, corporations, and the like. They're just allowing us access to food when they see fit, how they see fit, what levels they see fit. They're controlling access to something that is vital to life when you just have access rather than sovereignty. So this access, limited food access, is by design. This did not happen by chance or by circumstance. They just weren't inept in setting up the food system and made some mistakes along the way. This is absolutely 100% by design. It's working just as they designed it to. And this video really hits home because he's going to explain this. It's a video clip that I want to show you because he's going to explain this to a T, what I'm saying that this is by design. He was actually a past guest on my podcast, Oren. And yeah, this video will speak for itself.
Every time I say humans shouldn't have to pay to exist, someone inevitably asks, but if we don't use money, how do we eat? As if food was invented by the banks, or like trees take credit cards, or like carrots need permission. So let me explain this very slowly. Why aren't our cities walkable gardens? Look around your city. Concrete, asphalt, decorative grass you're not allowed to eat, miles of sidewalks that grow nothing, parking lots so big you can see heat waves rising off of them. And somehow, we're told that food is scarce. Well, that's just the first lie. Because food isn't scarce. Edible land is everywhere. We just paved over it and then convinced ourselves survival has to be trucked in from miles away. Ask yourself this like a child would. Why can fruit trees grow for free, but cities are designed so that none exist? Why is grass allowed, but tomatoes are against code? Why are herbs considered a hobby, but lawns are mandatory? Why do we design places for cars instead of feet and then act shocked when people can't survive without money? This isn't accidental design. It's intentional fragility. Right now, your survival depends on farms you'll never see, trucks you don't control, fuel you can't afford, and stores that close, and prices that change overnight. That is not resilience. That is a hostage system. And here's the part that nobody wants to say out loud. Any civilization that collapses when trucks stop was never designed to feed people. It was designed to manage them. A sane world would look completely different. Cities would be walkable, not for aesthetics, not for green points, but because food would be everywhere you walk. Fruit trees lining the sidewalks, berry bushes in public places, herbs growing outside buildings, and community gardens instead of dead lawns. Kids would know what food looks like before it's wrapped in plastic. Elders wouldn't need money just to eat. People wouldn't panic every time a supply chain hiccups. But instead, we built sterile ecosystems. Lawns that feed nothing, parking lots that kill soil, zoning laws that forbid abundance, and HOA rules that criminalize self-sufficiency. Let that sink in. We don't just fail to provide food locally, we actively prevent it. Then we call the resulting hunger normal. Here's a sentence that should make you extremely uncomfortable. We paved over food, and now we pay to buy it back. Think about how insane that is. The earth grows food automatically. No invoices, no permission slips, just sun, water, soil. Done. But we decided, no, centralize it, isolate it, transport it, mark it up, gatekeep it. And then we tell people, if you can't afford food, that's your fault. That is not economics. That's violence with extra steps. And before someone jumps in screaming, but farms, nobody said abolish the farms. The question is, why is food not treated like infrastructure? Roads are public, water systems are public, emergency services are public, but food, the thing you literally cannot live without, is locked behind money and distance. Why? Because a population that can feed itself locally is harder to scare, harder to control, and harder to exploit. A walkable garden city doesn't just feed people, it breaks dependence. And no, this is not utopian, it's not unrealistic, and it's not radical. What is radical is designing a world where human survival depends on trucks, prices, and permission. So I'll leave you with this. If food can grow everywhere, why are our cities designed like it can't? And who benefits from that design?
Oh my gosh. Please let that sink in. Please let that absorb because that was powerful. We paved over food and pay to buy it back. That sentence hit me like a ton of bricks because that is like literally insanity. And this control, like me even personally, I got a $500 fine from my HOA for planting a fruit tree in my own yard and had to dig it up. So yeah, it's complete insanity and it is all by design, all of it. So the next section I want to talk about is the current state of traditional farming and agriculture. This is the global view. So nearly 1 billion people lack access to nutritious food, and I would probably say that's an understatement. And these are some of the reasons why. Economics. For now, global crop output is up, and that's driven by maize, wheat, rice, sugar, but this is not sustainable given the rise of the challenging forces at play for growing food. Many farmers, especially family farms, face economic hardship from high input costs like fertilizer, fuel, um, all the things that they need to actually to run the farm. The failing commodity prices, this creates a profit squeeze. They're putting in so much money because their costs are steadily rising and they're making less money on the back end. That is not a sustainable model at all. So the climate impacts, geoengineering and weather modification. That's another. This is a really big one. This is a big one for more than just, food sovereignty. It's a big one, period, for life on Earth. But extreme weather, droughts, floods, fires, etc., and toxic precipitation causes major harm. It disrupts yields, it increases risk, it poisons all life on Earth, including the soil. Geoengineering, just by itself, is one of the greatest threats we face for humanity, for nature, for all life literally on this planet. And we will talk more about this later in the presentation because it is so important. Food deserts. Food access and insecurity is rampant throughout the globe, particularly in poverty stricken areas. So, a food desert is just an area where there is little to no access to fresh or healthy food. Soil health, another major problem. Soil erosion, diminished microbiome, and degradation are large scale problems globally for the soil. And geoengineering has a lot to do with the health of our soil. Lack of nutrients in the soil directly causes lack of nutrients in the food that is grown. And so, if their food is not nutritious, how do we get nutrition in our body? We don't. So, this is a huge problem. War and conflicts. Global wars and destruction devastate and destroy local food production while at the same time diminishes access significantly or even cuts it off altogether for the people in those war zones. And I think we all can think of multiple areas right now that are suffering just like that. Food access cut off because of conflict and war. Pollinator and insect loss. So we are seeing a sharp collapse of the insects and bee populations. Most reports are underestimating the real losses, which are likely upward of 50% already. I would say, based on the research that I've done on this, it's much more, probably around 80% already loss. This negatively affects crop pollination, soil health, and biodiversity, along with a myriad of other devastating problems. And I just want you all to kind of think back. Think about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when you took a road trip. Think about your windshield. Think about how many bugs would be on your windshield. Think about how many are on there now. Are there any? If there are, it's very few. Think about when it used to rain and you would literally have to like tiptoe around all the earthworms coming up. How many come up now? And the ones you do see, what are the size of them? Nothing like it used to be, because these insects are gone. They're gone. And they are a essential part of our ecosystem, especially our pollinators. And we have to understand what this means for us and means for our food system. Now we looked at the global view. Now I want to look at the US view. So we have lost over 65% of our farms in the last century. And these are some of the reasons why. Taxes. Estate or death taxes are hurting family farms like really seriously bad. 9 months after the death of a family leader, some farms owe the IRS up to 40% of their farm's value above the exemption limit. Many family farms are being lost as a result of this. It's devastating to them. They were already struggling financially in many cases, and then you get hit with something like this. That's it. That's the end of that farm. Then we have the corporatization of farming and the loss of family farms. Corporations, investment firms, and wealthy individuals like Bill Gates, who is the 42nd largest landowner in the US, with over 269,000 acres of that being farmland. It's incredible. It's incredible. And he's not a farmer, by the way. They're increasingly buying family farms and farmland, which is in turn drive up land prices and push out young and small farmers. It also gives them more control, centralizing that control over our natural resources and over our food supply. Conglomerates control over 50% of the US crop output, and less than 15% is from small farmers. It's all about control. It's all about concentration of power. And then we have the aging out of a lot of farmers. According to the 2022 census released in 2024, the average age of a farmer is 58 years old. A lot of them are just aging out of this. They're just too old to continue to run a farm. So that's another issue. Available labor. There is a marked lack of skilled labor available in the agriculture industry due to immigration laws, increasing imports, low wages, and other factors. You need labor to run farms. It's a labor intensive industry. So this is another issue. Government regulation, of course, because they're always just trying to help us with all these regulations. Tariffs, labor laws, restrictions on farmers, on farmers' autonomy on how they want to grow food and raise their animals, funding cuts, and regulations rooted in unfounded and unsound science are crushing so many family farms in the US. They're always telling us to follow science, follow the science, follow their science is what they really mean. Many farmers are also subsidized not to grow food at all. And most farmers are in a position that they depend on these subsidies to even keep their farms going. So if they're subsidized to not grow food, that's exactly what they do, is not grow food. And that's mind blowing. But it's, again, all of these things are by design. And then we have the declining profitability. Production, equipment, and labor costs are steadily rising while farming profits are sharply declining. There is also a decline in commodity prices. All these factors has led to record numbers of bankruptcies in the farming industry. And I'm going to follow this up with a couple charts. So this chart shows you the production expenses, how they are rising from 1970 to 1925. And the dollar amounts are in the billions of dollars. So they're accounting for everything from, their marketing costs to their livestock, to their equipment, to their fertilizer, to their rent. And you see this, spike just going up year over year over year. And it's just become not even feasible. This is not a sustainable model for farms. And now this price index for crop producers shows you the price received by farmers, which is in blue, and then the price paid by farmers to produce those crops in red. You see the problem? You see the inversion of how it should be? Again, not a sustainable model for them to keep growing food. So let's look at the impact of imports and exports. Because I talked at the beginning about how important growing locally is, and this is why. Over 50% of fresh fruits and around 38% of fresh vegetables are coming from abroad. The majority of seafood, fruits, tree nuts, and grain and oilseed milling products consumed are imported. In 2024, American farms and food processors exported $176 billion worth of products. The country imported even more, around $205 billion, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Think about these amounts. These are astronomical amounts of food moving around, being shipped, trucked, flown all across the globe rather than being grown local. So we are moving food across the planet rather than growing it locally, which makes no sense. And you're getting much less fresh food. You have no access to see how it's being grown because it's being grown in a whole other country. So this global reliance on food being shipped and transported across the globe promotes instability and puts unnecessary strain on the environment as well. And it leaves us very vulnerable because if there's any issues with transportation that come about. Now you can't get the imports and you can't send out your exports. And then you have a food crisis instantly. So, locally grown food focused on sustainability and regeneration is key, is absolutely key to moving forward and moving in the direction of food sovereignty. No, I did say I was going to talk more about geoengineering. So, weather modification and geoengineering impacts are huge. Geoengineering directly impacts our ability to grow food. I want to start off with a quote from Dane Wigington of geoengineeringwatch.org. I cannot highly recommend his website enough. Absolutely check it out. He has all his research is evidence based and evidence backed. This quote reads, climate engineering and weather warfare, it is absolutely warfare, are ultimately one and the same. The ongoing atmospheric experiments taking place in our skies have a long history with many objectives and agendas being carried out. The equation is complex. If we are to have any chance of exposing and halting catastrophic global climate engineering operations, we must first have a clear understanding of the issue itself. So, geoengineering includes weather modification, storm creation and or steering, climate manipulation, spraying toxic chemical blends in the atmosphere. People often refer to that as chemtrails. Engineered winters, cool downs, which we just experienced all these winter storms out of the blue, sleets, snowstorms, freezing cold when it was just warm the day before. We just experienced this two extremes. They do it all the time. Weather whiplash scenarios where, oh, it's 60 degrees one day, and then later that same day, it's 20 degrees. Weather whiplash, engineered droughts and flooding, and more. This has catastrophic effects on all life on Earth. It is destroying our environment, our soil, our crops, our insect population, our wildlife population, and us. It's destroying us, our health, our well being. So I highly recommend his groundbreaking documentary, The Dimming. It's free to watch right on YouTube. You can just go to his channel and watch it for free. It will explain to you very clearly how they are doing this, what they are doing, and the ramifications of it. I want to also play a quick clip from Dane Wigington so you can hear directly from him the impacts of geoengineering on us and our food.
Report reminder from EcoWatch. Global hunger rises for 6th consecutive year in a world dangerously off course. From resilience.org, this headline, will there be food? Question mark. From Atlantic.com, a food reckoning is coming. Yes, it is. From AsianNews.net, desertification causes crop failure in southern Russia. From carbonbrief.org, how extreme weather is destroying crops around the world. From the UK Guardian, how climate breakdown is putting the world's food in peril. From earth.org, bananas, coffee, chocolate, how climate change is threatening the world's most beloved foods. And again, climate engineering needs to be in every single one of these headlines. You can't legitimately discuss climate anything from any perspective without addressing climate engineering first and foremost, but it's an all the above equation. For those that want to blame everything on climate engineering, no. We've been horrific stewards of planet Earth in countless ways. Climate engineering at the top of the list, but it's an all-the-above equation. From Vox.com, how climate change will worsen hunger. Even America's richest farmlands can't outrun climate collapse. The soils are being poisoned every single day. Ozone layers being shredded every single day. Hydrological cycle totally disrupted. Every breath we take, every drink of water, every bite of food is contaminated with climate engineering nanoparticles right now. From Yahoo News, the food recall system is broken and experts say we're all at risk. That's because they're gutting environmental protection, everything. This administration right now. From the Collapse Chronicle, when Wall Street bets on your thirst, they are investing in the fact that many will be out of water soon. How about that? Where's all this heading? This headline from the UK Guardian provides a puzzle piece. Quote, U.S. on trajectory toward authoritarian rule, ex-officials warn. From that report, a network of former intelligence and security officials say democratic decline is accelerating under Trump's rule. The United States is on a trajectory toward authoritarian rule, according to a sobering new intelligence assessment. What a surprise. And how many Americans are still actively or passively supporting the insanity? Stockholm Syndrome on steroids.
Stockholm Syndrome on steroids. Please say that again. That's exactly what it is. People don't want to look at the truth of what's happening. I mean, you can look up in the sky and literally see this, and you still have people denying that it's even going on. It's truly incredible. It's incredible. So let's move on to the next section, the problem with synthetic and bioengineered food. The push towards synthetic and lab foods, and there is a big push right now going on with this. So what is it? What is synthetic or lab food? It is food, and that is in quotes for a reason, created in labs using cells, microorganisms, or synthesized ingredients instead of traditional natural farming methods designed to mimic natural products like meat, dairy, or even plant based items with tailored textures and flavors. So, common synthetic or lab grown foods include eggs, poultry, beef, plant-based alternatives. These high-priced plant-based alternatives that so many people think are so healthy are often just synthetic lab food, and it's the opposite of healthy. Seafood, dairy proteins, meal replacements, coffee, chocolate, flavoring, sweeteners, and exotic meats. So, how does this fake food harm us? How does this synthetic food harm us? There's serious health risks associated with consuming these foods. So, they're not recognized by our bodies the same as natural food. I mean, it's kind of even a stretch to me to call it food. Questionable practice to grow meat from a cell that requires large amounts of fetal bovine serum, which comes from cow fetuses, to grow it. There's a significant lack of natural, real nutrition because it's not natural or real. So, how can it have real nutrition, natural, real nutrition in it? These fake foods have zero immune systems and because they're not natural. So, they don't have an immune system like a real food would. And they're just clones of each other, leaving it very vulnerable to all manner of bacterial and viral contamination. There's a risk of heavy metal contaminants, links to cancer and allergies, and the long-term health effects are really unknown. We don't know. We don't know what this might look like to people who consumed a lot of this, 10 years from now or 20 years from now. And then we of course have the push towards bioengineered foods. What's a bioengineered food or BE? That is again food containing detectable genetic material modified in a lab using techniques that couldn't happen in nature or through conventional breeding, giving crops traits like pest resistance or modified, again, let's put that in quotes, modified nutrition. Common bioengineered foods include soybeans, corn, canola, sugar beets, cotton, potatoes, papayas, alfalfa, apples, eggplant, salmon, and summer squash. And as if all this engineering is not doing enough damage, now they're also experimenting with adding vaccines to our produce and other foods. Yeah, that makes you so hungry, right? Makes you just want to run to the store and grab one of these BE apples, right? It's mind blowing what they're doing to our food. It's really appalling. So how does the bioengineered food hurt us? Again, not recognized by our bodies the same as natural food because it's not natural food. Increased allergies that may be severe. Think about the explosion of certain type of allergies. I just went through a bad allergy just out of the blue. I got a histamine intolerance that was sending me like into anaphylaxis constantly just this past summer. Just came out of the blue, out of nowhere seemingly. And then all these people that have, allergies to grains, all these people that have allergies like lactose intolerances, these allergies exploded very rapidly to in large swaths of the population for a reason, and it had a lot to do with bioengineered food. And I highly recommend, I think I have this name right, of this documentary called What's with Wheat, but it really clearly explains why so many people have allergies to grains because these are not the grains of the past. These BE grains are totally different. These bioengineered grains that we eat now, which is pretty much exclusively what you get from any store bought grains that you buy or even the grains that you consume at restaurants, they're engineered and our bodies just reject it. So I highly recommend that documentary as well. Check that out. And we have the potential for liver, kidney, and reproductive issues and damage. Significant lack of natural, real nutrition, again, because again, it is not natural or real. Unknown long term health effects and health risks. It can cause, and it's very harmful to our beneficial insects when they're eating this, because a lot of this is designed to harm insects because they're trying to make the food pest resistant, but it also harms not only just pests, it also harms our beneficial insects too. It's controlled by highly immoral corporations with no incentive to care about our health, to care about nature, to care about anything but profits and control. There's a lack of transparency and labeling, which makes it almost impossible to make informed decisions about what we're consuming and putting into our bodies. So these are serious, serious issues. Now we're going to move into our last section. Our freedom is directly related to food sovereignty. That's what this is all about. Freedom under natural law. And part of that freedom is our right to food sovereignty. So, how do we create food sovereignty? Individual and collective freedom is inherent to natural law and hinges on certain tenets: morality, truth, responsibility, and accountability. And a moral society can never be free. Their very own immorality will always eventually enslave them. Living in and accepting truth is also key, because you can never change what you refuse to see or accept. When we choose willful ignorance, when we choose to bury our heads in the sand, when we choose ignorance, when we choose apathy, when we choose to cover our eyes, when we choose to stay behind the veil, we're choosing our own demise. And that's what we have to deeply understand. If we keep choosing immorality, we can never also be free. So we have to start dealing with reality and accepting the truth and accepting it for what it is. That is the law of free. That's the premise for the law of freedom, which I learned from Mark Passio. And this graphic is courtesy of Derek Bartolocelli, another freedom fighter and a guest on my podcast previously as well. But the graphic reads: the natural law of freedom has a quantifiable effect. Aggregate freedom is directly proportional to aggregate consequences will be manifested into the human condition as a direct result of the moral quality of the aggregate human behavior. We collectively reap the result of the behavior that we collectively sow. You reap what you sow. Karma is always in effect. There is no way around this. People keep looking for loopholes to this. There isn't one. If we keep behaving as a collective immorally, we will stay in a state of perpetual suffering and enslavement. Once truth and morality are embodied, then personal and accountability and responsibility must be taken for our own lives and our children's lives. We have to step up. This is our life. We have to stop looking for a savior as a collective and as individuals. We have to stop looking outside of ourselves, go inward. We are the change we want to see in this world. We have to save ourselves. And that takes us looking at the truth, being moral, being responsible, and then acting in true care as a result. It takes us to act. We can't just gather a whole bunch of knowledge. We have to act on that knowledge. We have to change how we behave. We have to change how we interact with nature. This is all the foundation we have to come to understand if we really want to be free. If we really want to create a world where we have true food sovereignty and true spiritual sovereignty. And part of that is community. Community. It's key to food sovereignty. It's key to lots of things, but it's also key to food sovereignty. This is not something we can do on our own. I can't go in my backyard and grow every single thing I need. I can't grow the onions, the potatoes, the apples, the oranges, I can't grow everything. So this is something we need to do as a community. Taking personal responsibility doesn't mean doing everything alone. We have been very heavily indoctrinated and programmed with this hyper independence. Oh, I got it. I can do everything. I just I want to do it alone because I don't want to depend on other people, and that the best way to do things is all by yourself and be self-sufficient. We are better as a collective. We are not meant to do things alone. We are meant to be interdependent. We are meant to build community together. That is how we are literally designed as a species, to do things together. So growing our own food locally is essential to food sovereignty. If we can do this effectively in small community settings, we can maximize our production and minimize our individual efforts. So I can just grow the potatoes and the corn and the peas, and Sally down the street can grow the carrots and the oranges and the squash. And that's how we do it. We do it together with interdependence, with respect for one another, with cooperation amongst each other. So let's explore further some of the ways we can do this. We can start community gardens. So we have our little neighborhood, and right in the middle we have a big community garden, and everyone contributes to it. We're all growing different things. We have different jobs, we have different roles, and we all, utilize the fruits of our labor, of our combined labor. We can set up local barter systems. Maybe I don't grow food, maybe I knit, maybe I sew, maybe I do home repairs, and you grow the food and we just exchange. This is essential because you don't need money for these systems. That breaks us away from their control because you don't need money to barter. We can start indoor and outdoor gardens at home. And doing a small indoor hydroponic garden is very easy. Literally, it's super easy. Anyone can do it. And you can grow all sorts of things. You can grow salad greens, you can grow herbs, you can grow tomatoes, you can grow cucumbers, you can grow peppers. I grow these things in my home. So, like in the winter when I can't grow my peppers outside, I grow them in my little hydroponic garden. Same thing with tomatoes and things like that, and my herbs and my salad greens. So that's an easy way to get started, even if you don't have a, quote unquote green thumb, or just start, you can do both. I do both. I have a very large outdoor garden and I also garden indoors, but just start somewhere. Just get your hands in the soil, get your hands in the earth. And then as you're learning and doing these things, we have to start teaching our youth how to grow food because they spend umpteen years in an indoctrination programming system and come out with zero life skills. They don't know how to fix nothing. They don't know how to grow nothing. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. So we have to start teaching them real life skills that they will need to survive in this world. And growing food is a very important skill. So we first have to start and educate ourselves, and then educate our children, and then educate others around us about how to grow food and about the importance of food sovereignty. We have to share information, share the wealth, share the knowledge. And I want to share with you some of that knowledge. I want to show you two real world examples of this happening right now. I am part of both of these organizations. I want to talk to you about Collectively Sustainable and FarmFresh 24/7 because they are blueprints for exactly what I'm talking about for food sovereignty. So, Collectively Sustainable creates hyperlocal food systems and builds real community. As you can see, I am a part of this and very proud to be a part of this. The Collectively Sustainable initiative was created with the specific intentions to learn, grow, share, and support one another hyper locally. There it is again. We keep running into local, local, local. We want to be growing our food locally. We'll have much more control. It'll be much more nutritious because it's not getting shipped from halfway across the world. We know how it's being grown. We know what's being put on it or not sprayed on it. So this is very important to create food security and to create food sovereignty. And this is a nationwide movement. So I highly recommend you go to collectivelysustainable.org. Yes, it started in Atlanta. I'm based in Metro Atlanta area. So there's a lot of members here, but this is a nationwide organization. So you can join anywhere in the country. And then start building out your community, because this is what it's about. Real life action, getting involved, getting to know one another, coming together and building something together. Because if we want to abandon the old paradigm, we have to have something in its place. We can't just abandon the old system and then everybody does like this. We have to have something already in its place. And so you need to know, okay, once we start shifting, once that old system starts collapsing and crumbling under its own weight, and because everyone's abandoning it, we have to already have our community in place. Okay, so we're already building this over here. We're already good. We're already 10 steps ahead. So this needs to be something that we're actively doing, all of us, on a day-to-day basis, building our community, and building this new paradigm, building the world we want to see, building the world we want to live in. So Farm Fresh 24/7 allows you to grow fresh, buy fresh, get fresh with the locals. So it's designed for growers, makers, and bakers to sell, barter, buy, or even give away products. I also have products on there. I have some of my tea blends that I make on there, some of the seasoning blends. I'm planning on putting some more products on there, some of the body washes and face washes and things like that that I make. So it's totally free. You just download the app. It's free to use. And the way that it's designed is brilliant, because you don't buy it off the app. What the app does is connect me with you locally. So you have to get with me. We have to talk. We have to exchange. So yeah, you knitted that hat. I love that hat. Do you want some of my season blends? Let's do a barter right quick. Oh yeah, I got fresh herbs. Oh, what do you got? Oh, you have when you do home repairs? Okay, let's swap for that. You know what? It's great. Or you could just sell it, or you could just gift it. Oh, you have seeds that you have extra, you're just giving away? Great. Where can we meet? This is real life. This is happening. This is not a dream. We can really live like this. We can really build community like this. So I highly recommend you check out both of those websites, because this is the future. This is the way of the future. Our right to live free is not granted. It is inherent. Now, this video clip I'm going to show you now is Lawrence. He is the founder of Collectively Sustainable, and I want you to hear him explain what I've been explaining.
One, trust. The average American, the average consumer does not trust the food that comes out of the grocery stores. We do not trust the food that comes from the big farms that are monocultured, that are sprayed with forever chemicals. We don't trust the bioengineered labels on the back of the packages. That is mainly our food system. A lot of these things, like we have to go into the grocery store with a heightened level of anxiety because we have to really comb through the ingredient list on the back of the packages, right? That's number one. Two, when we think about those things and we say, hey, I'm going to do something better, I'm going to go find a farmer and buy from them, what we find is there's just simply not enough farmers that are in production mode, right? Most of our farmers are stipend to not grow food. Most of our farmers that are big, 100-acre plus farms, they grow food for animals or soy, right? So it's nothing that we can really consume. So that's a big issue. Furthermore, a lot of those farmers are between the ages 60 to 70 years old, right? Lastly, this is a occupation that is held by less than 2% of Americans. So we're saying less than 2% are supposed to feed the entire nation. It's just not possible. That's issue number two. Last is literally our currency right now. Our economic system is in shambles. And right now, your $5 is not the $5 of yesterday, right? It's moving rapidly as far as like what we can buy with the same money, right? So inflation is here. So we can't get the quality products for the same price. We can't even get the BS products for the same price. So what we've been trying to do is desperately provide a solution for our community here in Atlanta and abroad. And so what we did first was tackle that issue of trust. And we created a free downloadable platform called FarmFresh 24/7. And it's allowing us to really bypass the middleman and make direct contact for peer-to-peer transactions. We went so far as to take the payment gateway out of FarmFresh 24/7 just so you get a chance to meet the person. You start a conversation, you ask them about ingredients, you form a relationship, right? So that's the main thing that we did. FarmFresh 24/7 again is free to download, free to post on, and it's a way for us to be empowered through the food system. Second, we know that there's not enough producers. There's not enough producers to supply the demand. So we created a grassroots movement called Collectively Sustainable. And Collectively Sustainable is housed and comprised of growers, bakers, and makers across the nation who are just saying, hey, yes, I know how to bake bread. And yes, I'll take a day out of my month for 2 hours and teach somebody how to do the same thing I'm doing, because there's no way I can facilitate the demand if everybody turned to me to bake bread. I can't do it all. I can only do this many loaves. So we're practicing skill sharing with Collectively Sustainable in order to fill the gaps within production. And lastly, again, the economic standpoint, we really just can't outpace inflation. So what we also did with Collectively Sustainable is create a new culture, and we're bartering more. We're becoming prosumers. We're people who are saying, yes, I'll buy that from you, but while I'm buying it from you, I'm learning a skill so that I can eventually barter. And the dollar or the fiat currency, whatever's next, is going to be irrelevant. So that's the framework that we're practicing here in Atlanta with over 200 people buying into the process. We do have community nationwide. And again, this is the way that we really control our food and build food sovereignty. If this sounds like something that piques your interest, please check us out, www.collectivelysustainable.org. Join the movement today. Get started in your backyard.
Let's go. Let's go, people. Join the movement because we have the right to food sovereignty. We have the right to grow our own food. We have the right to not be poisoned. We have the right to create our own economic systems. We have the right to live independent of tyrannical forms of government. We have the right to freely share in the natural resources of the earth. We have the right to live the way we choose as long as we are not harming another. We have the right to live free.
1, trust.
So, I want to show you a little clip of the food sovereignty movement in action. This is from our last fall festival. It's called Growers Exchange, where we all make our products, and there's also it's open to the public, so there's people there that are buying products. We also barter and swap there with each other and think it's amazing. So I'm just going to show you a little clip from it, and I hope you enjoy. It's not madness, it's movement. This crescendo resounds and affirms and gives way to a peak at the peak of humanity's evolution, the only true solution to the equation. Evasion will no longer suffice. We are no longer married to the system, so hold your cheers and hold your rice. Actions with intention adds focus and dimension as we hit angles, change timelines, make history, and redefine what community looks like, what it acts like, what it feels like. What is it like when you realize the answer to every problem is love, the universal antidote? We're not trying to promote a fairy tale of perfection, just a perfect redirection back to our connection to source. Without remorse, I firmly lay my burdens down. Because as we build together, I found I no longer need them around. This paradigm shift is not a plot twist, but an entirely new work of art. As we sculpt and carve, we starve the machine, remembering what it means to be a human being. So please never question or doubt our resolve. Our future is promised, not just obtainable. We found freedom and family and are collectively sustainable. And that was an original poem that I wrote and performed. No, I didn't perform it there, but recorded for Collectively Sustainable, because this movement is, very dear to my
It's
heart.
not
And it's important. And I hope you take a chance, some time to take a look at it, as well as my website, Affirm Life Daily. Thank you so much for listening to my funnel presentation about food and freedom. And I will hopefully see you in the community sometime soon. Thank you so much.